This programme is brought to you by Heineken and Bet365, UEFA Champions League official sponsor.
Right, here we are, we're in Munich, Champions League final day. 6 o'clock the coverage starts, TNT Sports and Discovery Plus. Really looking forward to it. I mean, Owen, what a great city for a Champions League final.
I'm biased. You know, I've played here for 10 years. I think it's one of the best. Obviously, the stadium's brilliant. Bayern Munich's an amazing football club. Looking forward to it. Weather should be good as well, which I think helps as well. So.
Always helps.
Yeah.
I was only thinking, this morning about the journey. So, Noel Gallagher in Lisbon.
Yeah.
Prince William at Aston Villa and then Paris. I mean, it's been
some journey. The first thing you've got to say is he'd be top man. As a tour advisor in Munich, he's not put a foot wrong so far, lads. I've got to say he's been brilliant. No, but it's been some journey. Really. We were talking about it last night. I get back to even one of my favourite games was at Anfield with Liverpool beating Real Madrid, and they gave him a going over. And it seems like an eternity ago. But no, it's been a great. When you think about it, Noel and Combs, the future king. It's been an eventful tournament for us, isn't it?
I'm not sure if he's the future king or you are, based on the relationship you've now got this season. Day of the final. Take your captain. What's it like when you?
It's nervous. I've got to be honest with you. Like, I hear some people go, "Yeah, don't get nervous." I'm thinking, lies, man. I was nervous. I was called Makaleli yesterday. He was saying massive nerves, and that you think he's one of the coolest guys about, but. It was just, it's natural to get nerves. I think it's healthy to get nerves.
They're long days, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like even the night before, I don't think you sleep
not
as well.
No.
Because there's like anticipation.
Sleep in the afternoon?
Yeah.
You loved the kid, didn't you?
I love sleeping.
No, I was the same. I fell asleep in the afternoon, no problem. I just slept all day.
I didn't like sleeping
I only woke up
because
from food.
you could sleep too long. Do you know what I mean? Then you felt a bit tired. No, honestly, do you know what I mean?
Here's a question for you. When did you travel to the venues, or the cities in particular? Did you go for 48 hours, 72 hours?
3 days, I think. 3 days before, 2 days before we used to go. And then, so you train at the stadium.
Yeah.
I remember we trained at the stadium.
Do you remember in Moscow?
Yeah. And it used to be olders versus youngers.
Did you say Moscow?
Yeah.
Moscow.
No, but do you remember
Moscow?
Do you remember we trained in the
Moscow?
we trained, right? So you know
I remember that. It was funny.
You know, the night before the game, you normally go like, okay, you want to get a good session in, and you get your range, etc. The older team was most of the older team were playing, starting the game, right? So we do like an 8-a-side game. We got smoked about 5-0.
Danny Welbeck
scored a hat-trick.
You were moaning like mad, do you remember?
Crazy going. I was thinking, I've had the worst training session of my life. The day before the final.
Do you remember you were having a moan up, and I said, "Shut up! You just got roasted from Danny Welbeck, right?" So Alex has come on the pitch, lads, save it for tomorrow, save it for tomorrorow. But we had a proper tear up the night before, didn't we? In the session.
So you're having mind games that night. I'm not right. Wake up in the morning. You do a warm-up or warm-down in the hotel and everything, and you think, oh, my hamstrings are a bit stiff. What's going on there? Like, so many worries are going through your head. You want your routine to be perfect. I don't know what you were like, but I was routine.
What was it like?
I was different.
The greatest respect, the Real Madrid boys got to a few finals.
Yeah, were.
Is it just like another game for them?
I was surprised. It was they'd won it in '98, and then in 2000 we won it again. But we got there, if the game was on a Saturday, we got there on sort of the Thursday evening-ish, and then you went through the routine of training on the pitch. But the night before the game, I was, everybody's having a beer and some wine, and I remember, I was, because I'd only been at the club 10 months, so I'm thinking to myself, I had a bit.
More than one. Chrissy, I could have played for Real Madrid.
So then I'm like going to my room at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then somebody's like, I can hear music playing, and next minute I go to where like the massage room where all the physios are, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and all the lads having massages and listening to music, and I'm thinking to myself,
it's unbelievable.
Whoa. And then, the next day was just really chilled. I just slept most of the day, and then we went and played. But it was actually really nice watching my teammates just be so confident.
Was there an expectancy like that in the air to win?
But we were because we were playing Valencia, a team, of course, in our league. They were slight favourites because we played in that Club World Cup. Remember when Man United went to Brazil and we went to Brazil, right in January, and it wrecked our season a little bit. So they finished above us in the league, and they were slight favourites. But all my teammates were like, you know, we'll beat these. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. And actually, we won really comfortably, really comfortably. Yeah. So after 70 minutes, we were 3 up or something, or 75 minutes. Yeah. So you could, the last 15 minutes, you could just sort of look around and enjoy.
I remember it.
Yeah. Do you know, nice and easy. But I mean, that's very, very
Do you know
rare.
when you scored?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hell of a goal you scored. We tried to recreate it in Cardiff a few years ago, and even you couldn't do it second time around.
I could do it.
But you know,
I just didn't try. I had a couple of drinks.
That was the problem. We had these beer the night before.
I was doing the volley with my lager in my hand.
But do you know when that went in?
Yeah.
I mean, you're the most laid-back person I know. In fact, it's a tight thing between you and Owen, who's the most laid-back person I know. But what did that feel like? Because you've just scored in a Champions League final for Real Madrid.
Yeah, well, I didn't think. I just remember turning, and my father was there. My father and all my mates were there.
Did you spot them?
Yeah. I spotted them before the game because I lost my mother, didn't I? 10 months prior, the day after I played my last game at Anfield. So, and then of course I moved to Spain away from my father and all this. It was so I score there, and then I turn to there. And he's there with my sister, my brother, and all my mates. Wow. And I go like that to him, like
That's
that.
That's a goosebump.
Because I very rarely celebrated when I scored, because it was just, you know, it was just one of those things. But I go like that to him then, and then we carry on. But it was 2-0, so it was sort of, you know, once you get to, it was still 60 minutes, but once you got to 2, we were so comfortable, and then we broke and got a third. And that's what I said. It was so relaxing then. You could just, you know, chill and enjoy the celebrations rather than hanging on and panicking right to the last minute.
Maka, you know what's amazing about that is, like, everybody remembers that goal. And I think that's what these games give you. You give an opportunity to create a moment that lasts forever. Your whole life you walk down the street and go, oh, Maka, I remember that goal you scored. Think about the Zidane one against Leverkusen. You remember these moments, don't you? I think that's why for these players, you've got to grab this moment because it changes your life.
I was thinking as well, though, the new format, the old format, I'm not necessarily sure PSG would even be here. I think they would have gone. They needed match day 8 to get through, and now they're favourites to win the final a little bit later.
I think everyone was quite sceptical, weren't we, when we saw the new format, and was like, no one was really sure how it would pan out. But I found it really exciting. I think there's been jeopardy on the last day of the group stages, which you don't normally get with a lot of the big teams on a knife edge. But it's going back to what I've enjoyed this season. I've enjoyed Aston Villa. I think Bayern Munich there, when they played them, and getting back into Europe, that crowd, the atmosphere they generated. So it's been eventful, it's been good. And again, having that jeopardy during the group stages for me was a big plus point.
I think as well, Maka, when you think about the journey here, even though Barcelona aren't here, Lamine Yamal now has had his coming out season, hasn't he, the Champions League. So everybody's looking forward to seeing what he does. I know it's not a Barcelona conversation that we're going to have, but that semi-final and the way he played.
He's fantastic, isn't he? I think when a new generational superstar comes around, I think we all realise this is a special moment, isn't it? Because he is very, very good. I've seen him lots in La Liga, and he's definitely the best 17-year-old I've ever seen. I never saw Pele. Pele was young enough playing and representing his country. But he is the standout talent, and we've seen it, you've seen it. When you go to Barcelona, there's just Lamine Yamal shirts everywhere. He's now going to be number 10 next year. He's taken off Ansu Fati, he's going to be number 10. Leo's number. So it's as if it's like a 17-year-old, the coronation of him already, isn't it?
How lucky were we in that?
We sat in the left-back position to watch the game.
That's what I'm saying.
We all wanted to go and help DeMarco at one point, didn't we?
I didn't. I wanted to see him continue that, please.
I didn't know whether to throw him a life vest or a belt or anything. But because of the circumstances, our position couldn't have been any better.
No.
We were right on that 18-yard box in that first 45 minutes. It was absolutely sensational.
I think we spoke about it when we was doing comms after when the cameras went off. I think that's a moment that we'll probably be saying in 20 years to our kids. I was there when everyone was like, he was announcing himself on the Champions League stages and going, oh wow, and where we were sat, how we were situated. And DeMarco will be forever in our minds because he's on the receiving end of it. But there ain't many players that bring you those moments where you just like, wow, transfixed for 45 minutes.
He'll be nominated for the Ballon d'Or at 17 years of age.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
So he's been that good that we've spent 5 minutes talking about him.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, though, is
with,
there?
with a game that he's not even involved in. That's the impact he's had on the Champions League. But we've got some great players in this final. And I mean, you kind of think about this transformation of PSG from Galacticos, Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, to this team now that kind of embodies Enrique, all for the cause, 3 in midfield, 2 fullback. It's a great side, but they've got that mix of work ethic.
But that's the workplace team. Before they had, Messi, Mbappe, they had the best individuals. They weren't a team, were they? The 3 stayed up and the rest of them just had to run around. And you can't win the Champions League. I think now I've never seen a team transform so quickly under a manager. Energy, possession, pressing, the front 3 press. No, I just think they're brilliant watch. Luis Enrique deserves so much praise for what he's done to this group.
So if all game for me, with about 10 minutes to go, I'm sure it was Dewey back in the right back position, defending.
I tell you, it does as well, doesn't it?
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't fancy Neymar doing that.
No.
Mbappe, I don't fancy doing that. But you're right, funny enough, talking about Manny Petit as well, the whole image of PSG has changed within France. The whole image. Because they weren't very popular before outside PSG, outside their own fan group, if you like, because there was maybe an arrogance about them or whatever. But it's completely changed. And he was saying now, just effectively, the whole country likes him. The whole country likes him.
Yeah.
And they're signing young French players, aren't they? Rather than signing superstar foreign players, which I think they have the best talent pool in the world, don't they?
You
in
said
Paris.
this for a long time. You said to me, we used to go and do these games when they were losing games that they should win. And you said, I can't believe they don't just go into the Parisian suburbs and sign the players and bring them all in and do it that way. They're going all around the world to buy these players.
But they were all
and they're all on the doorstep.
But they were all playing everywhere else.
Yes.
You think about Pogba and Coman and they were all around the world and they were right there for them. They couldn't have had them for nothing. And I do think fans like Liverpool, Man United, everybody identifies with local players. They're local boys. And now they're going and sign all these amazing young French talents. And look what they've done. I think it's an amazing story now.
I went and interviewed a couple of the Paris Saint-Germain players last week, and every 3 of them, Kvaratskhelia, if I said it right.
You do.
Neves and Vitinha, and every single one of them spoke about working hard, work ethic, but enjoying it. Luis Enrique, I saw a clip of him talking to Kylian Mbappe one time, saying that about influencing your teammates and working hard, etc. And like, that's to your point. He didn't get the response he wanted. See you later.
Yeah.
And then look at the team, the transformation.
And
in
look
the
what
team
he's
now.
turned Dembele into now.
Oh yeah.
But that's mad.
As a false 9, we always criticise his finishing. But Mbappe's goals have gone, but Dembele's scoring them, and he couldn't really score before. He was an amazing player.
Before this season, I think his best season was 14 goals with Barcelona. 33, he scored, I think, 25 in 28 in 2025.
Yeah.
We mentioned Yamal being a contender for the Ballon d'Or. If he gets a couple of goals in the game later, he could win a Ballon d'Or based on...
But he's always had Ballon d'Or talent, hasn't he?
Yes.
At Dortmund coming through and then going to Barca. I think now you need to be in the right place, I think, with the right manager, surrounded by the right people.
You always used to be able to find a weakness in the team, whether that was mentally or whatever. You look at this team now, from back to front.
Right,
I don't think you change anybody.
Right,
You've
got
that.
a weakness.
The 3 in midfield are so balanced, aren't they? Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, Neves. I mean, you wouldn't change. I don't think you change anybody at the minute.
No. And they're settled, aren't they? The whole team, you know who's going to play. The only question mark maybe is, does Barcola play or do it? That's it.
Surely.
I think it's got to be Dewey. Mind you, Barcola got to get a couple in the French Cup final last week.
Yeah. That's because Kvaratskhelia had a migraine. That's why he played.
Seriously, how quick does Doué look though? He looks like he's got rockets in his shoes.
I know. Do you know the mad thing with Doué now? So you go to the club shop, you can't get a Doué shirt. So you go to Barcelona, you can't get a Yamal. You can't get a Doué shirt in Paris anymore. You've got to get somebody else. But you've loved him this year, Doué.
Oh yeah. I sat with Jed Spence, and I asked him about, give me a young player's name up and coming we might not have spoken about. This is a few months ago. I didn't realise he went on loan to Rennes a couple of years ago, and he said, I was with Doué there. I said, well, what is he then? He said, Rio. He said, this is like, the only thing I can say is Neymar reincarnated. That's what he said. And at the time I was like, it wasn't knockout stages yet. I was like, all right, steady a little bit. And then when I started seeing him and watching him and going, he ain't too far. Like, he's got huge potential and don't know where his ceiling is.
Yeah. This game could be anything.
See, I'm glad you've said this because you've reminded us all there are 2 teams in the final. We're waxing lyrical about PSG.
It's like the Man City Inter Milan game a couple of years ago.
Yes.
We got here thinking City are all
roll
they're going to roll them over,
yeah.
no problem. Yeah. Milan have this, the experience, but they're a bit old. They haven't got this, they haven't got that. And suddenly we're here again with virtually the same team. Yeah. Same team again.
they're good when they're the underdog, in a way. So I think this will suit them.
They're the best team, I think, in this competition at being comfortable suffering during a game.
Yeah.
We played we went and watched them against City at City, and they were on the back foot and then going bang with a jab, bang, slicing through City, playing through the lines with direct 2-3 passes on the edge of their box, creating chances. They're a really a wily old team.
I think a point that needs to be made as well. I mean, we saw what they needed to do against Barcelona, and they could do it. That was a different game. They've always been irresistible force against immovable object, and they've been the team that you can't break down. But they went toe-to-toe with Barca and scored. They've scored 114 goals this season, which is a lot. I mean, it's not kind of PSG territory, but it's a lot. So there's a little bit more to them. I know it's easy to kind of stereotype this battle as this team's going to attack and this team's going to have the ability to keep them out. But this Inter team can score
you look at the goals
a lot of goals.
Barca.
Exactly, when they needed to.
Yeah.
I think one of the best tactical tweaks I've seen this Champions League is Inzaghi's. It's mad. The two centre backs go into midfield.
Yeah, you love this, don't you?
And the two centre mids, they come get the ball for goalkeeper. If you would have done that in that area, you would have got punched from the manager, wouldn't you? And I think to watch it, it's mad.
Have you heard him speak about it, Inzaghi?
Yeah.
He's saying the reason he does it, he gets the centre halves to go into midfield, and when they restart from the keeper, and the two midfielders, like Owen said, come back into and receive the ball off the keeper. He's saying, why am I the 3 players that aren't as good as the 2 in midfield, the ones that are starting and playing? It makes sense when you talk about it like that.
The better footballers go and get the ball rather than the defenders.
And that they play forward.
Is he a bit underrated?
Yeah.
Inzaghi? I think so, eh?
He wins
6
this, he
trophies,
goes in
4
a different
years.
realm.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's a little bit underrated. I really do.
He's again, like he's got a formation that isn't fashionable, isn't the one that everyone's talking about, but yet he's made it successful, and actually it's one you need to talk about.
Yeah.
So he's been really good, I think.
I think as well, we've just kind of gone through and waxed lyrical about the individuals in the PSG team. I don't know whether we're a little bit disrespectful to some of the individuals in the Inter team. I mean, Barella, I think, would play for most teams in Europe. Çalhanoğlu's fantastic. He thinks he's better than Rodri. He said this before the Euros. I'm Rodri, but I score 15 goals a season. I remember that was the quote that
But
he
the thing
used.
is, he started as a number 10, and now he's like playing as a defensive midfield player.
And by the way, Denzel Dumfries, I think he's got 11 this season, and we're talking about Hakimi and Neves. He's right there in terms of the way that he's played.
He had 2 of the best games you've ever seen from a fullback against Barca, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was involved like 5 goals, wasn't he?
Yeah. But you've got three of the best fullbacks, and if you were doing a top 5, you've probably got 3 of the best ones in the world right now on show in this game.
And then DeMarco's still in concussion protocol from Milan.
Never, dear me.
But I think that the big question for me is Martinez, because he's not played since the second leg of the semi against
I think he's key for Inter, I really do. I think he's a kind of
their main
talisman.
man, isn't he?
He's a
He's better than-
talisman.
he's better than
He's a leader,
Tevez,
isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's vital for them.
He reminds me of Tevez, don't you think?
Yeah,
way he
not
plays.
as much work ethic maybe.
Like on the
quick.
ball, works hard,
You
pressing,
can just play
scores
it into
goals.
him and he just sticks. Like that's the thing with them, the way they play. Probably like, especially in your time as well, they play balls straight up to the forwards, and then everyone runs off it.
Correct.
Up, back, through. It's like old school. We know we're
You
talking
and I
about.
watched him, mate. They're firing up. He was just, he was protecting it.
Putting it
Brilliant.
around the
Yeah, he needs to play though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I love it. And we talk about all these new formations and structures and whatever and systems. It's old school football. Do you know what I mean? But doing really well now in the new era. It's good. I like
think
it.
when you talk about systems, I think it's interesting this because they've both got 3 in midfield. They've both got progressive fullbacks. Even though on paper it looks a little bit different, it's very similar when you think about it. They want to do similar things, don't they? I know PSG have probably got one more at the top end of the pitch, more often than not.
Yeah.
But they both want to get there the same way. Fullbacks joining in, 3 in midfield. It's going to be fascinating the way that plays out. I think that midfield battle
I think you're right, Fletch.
is huge.
I think obviously with Mkhitaryan and Çalhanoğlu, they're like mid-30s, aren't they?
Yes.
Barella obviously has got a bit more energy. I think with Vitinha, Neves especially, and Ruiz, I just think they're a bit younger, a bit more mobile. So I think they're not going to get on the ball into as much as they probably would like. No. And they're going to have to defend more.
But
and
they know that though, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do,
We know that. They know that. They must be planning for this for a long time, like they did against Manchester City. They're going to have more of the ball. And I think they surprised all of us, didn't they, against Manchester City? I thought they were excellent that evening. Excellent. And they surprised me.
I wonder, Maka, what they do, the 3 centre-backs at Inter, when Dembele drops in, as he does. He drops into midfield
Because they're
and
not
then
going to
creates
have
an
him to mark,
overload.
are they?
Yeah, so and you've got 3 centre-backs. you're playing with like 1 or 2 men down if they're all waiting at the back.
Well, they'll have to go, won't they? Surely
someone's got to go
surely
in.
they're experienced enough to go and follow, aren't they? If they've got two, if there is 3, one has to go. They have to take a chance.
It'll be difficult.
That's why I think they'll dominate possession.
Yeah.
But as you say, it won't bother at the moment. I also think they've got a little bit more wider areas, PSG.
Yeah, same.
If you're Enrique, if you're PSG, this is probably your worst nightmare for a final. This team. If you could pick anybody,
Barcelona would have suited them, wouldn't
it? If
it?
you could pick anybody, you wouldn't pick this
Well,
team.
especially after they lost it a couple of years ago. You know, they won't want to experience that again. You know what that pain is like as a player.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel that ever again. So I think that kind of works in their favour a little bit as well.
Is anybody around the table brave enough or stupid enough, I don't know which one it is, to say that Inter Milan are going to win this game? Or is everybody kind of looking at PSG?
I think we all would say, I'm speaking for everyone, you can tell me shut up if you want, but I think we all go Paris Saint-Germain will win.
Because the way they play as well,
there's
isn't it?
something there going.
Yeah.
I'm not fully convinced still.
That they
Inter,
didn't
'cause
lose
Inter.
to Barca or Bayern in 4 games.
I know. I think we're sleeping on them a little bit.
Don't bet against them.
No, I don't think
Wouldn't
we do.
surprise you if they stood there.
No,
winning at the end.
absolutely.
No, no.
Surprise you.
And it's not out of sheer, it's not out of disrespect for Inter Milan. It's just, I think the way Paris Saint-Germain play, we all appreciate their style of football.
Correct.
That's it, all it is. So we all, you know, so when you've got Barcelona or Inter Milan, you always go to veer towards the team that play exciting football and take people on and make chances. So that's why we're all veering towards PSG, because they play a more attractive, entertaining football. But we all know what Inter Milan can do.
I think that's spot on the assessment there.
Yeah.
But
We
I
all-
think-
we
I
think
because
they're
we've
great,
seen them,
don't we? But
we
we've-
do. We
yeah.
love watching them. And if truth be told, we're probably leaning towards them. We want them.
Because the way they play.
But we're sitting here Saturday night late on, and Inter Milan have lifted the trophy. We wouldn't be surprised.
Not at all, no.
I think
and
one
we'll,
more- I think-
and we'll be happy for them.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
manager's great.
Absolutely.
All the players look great, don't
Absolutely,
they? And they don't
man.
shout out, they don't
Correct.
say anything silly.
Fans-
They just get
fans
on.
are brilliant as
Yeah,
well,
they
yeah.
just get on with
Being
the
early.
They get on with the
Being early.
business and just play, you know, so I've got no problem with them at all.
So, PSG?
Yeah.
Yeah, PSG.
PSG, I think. Yeah.
It'd be great if Inter Milan win, wouldn't it?
I actually feel like
stick always on the Inter.
I feel like I should say Inter Milan just in case, so I can walk out. Yeah, just to say I told you, lads. I told you, lads.
Who are you going with them?
PSG. I think they'll win it, I got to say. I think it's going to be great, though.
Oh,
I think
can't
it's going to
wait.
be fantastic. And you know what? I know it's great when you've got an English team in the final, but I think there's something romantic about
No, so do I.
two foreign clubs in the
For
final
the
as
first
well.
time, even like last year, because it was at Wembley and Madrid were there yet
Yeah.
again, you sort of lean towards them, and because we know people. But the fact that we haven't really got an affinity with either
Correct.
club, it's actually quite nice to talk about them. You're not criticised, you just talk and think, you know, to a certain extent, may the best team win, but
And what
we
Owen
love what
said-
they do. And
Owen said it as well. Great sets of fans.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll win for some night.
It's going to be fantastic. Whichever way you dress it up, it's going to be a great final. Whether you like PSG, whether you like Inter. 6 o'clock we start. TNT Sports, Discovery Plus, the Champions League final. It's going to be a cracker.
This programme was brought to you by Heineken and Bet365, UEFA Champions League official sponsor.